Can y'all hear me now? Volume sound okay. All right, let's get back to the business. We're talking quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends. We're getting to that point of the season. We got to know what's going on, guys. What are we doing with these players? What the technical difficulties? I don't get it. Baba Booey, love the name. Don't love my audio difficulties. Hot mic, as they say in the biz. All right, so let's start over. 7 minutes in, I just talked to myself. What's new? I'm talking quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends. You can buy in redraft, dynasty, kind of their outlook. I've got these three gents on the screen. These are your running backs. These waiver wire darlings, these RB handcuffs. Who am I favoring this week? Obviously, I could take it from a draft forward step. Let's go running back. So we've got Boston Scott against the Jets. Madison against Detroit. Detroit against the Vikings. We've got three ways to look at this. Boston Scott's playing the Jets, man. I mean, come on. This is the sweet spot. This is the matchup you want. So this week I'm going Scott. He's done it in the past, and he keeps doing it. And now you get to go up against the Jets. Worst run team. This guy's getting 4 carries a game. He's getting work. This is a guy I want in my lineups, guys. This is another one. 18 points week 8 versus Detroit, 12 week 10 against Denver. So he's had that workload. If Howard's out with the knee, you got the ankle injury on Sanders. Give me some Boston Scott up in here. Other guys, Madison. This is the one that kind of scares me because Madison we thought he's been the guy before, and he's turned out to be a turd. So we see Dalvin Cook with the AC joint. We see Detroit up next. Detroit's bad against everybody. What's new? But after that, Madison, I'm probably fading the most out of these three. He probably looks like the most well put together running back that we should be confident in, but I really don't feel it. Jamal Williams, he's going to get the workload. He's all Detroit Scott. I think Vikings are a bottom 5 run defense, so I love this matchup. I'm starting Jamal Williams. I'm starting Boston Scott. I'm a little more hesitant with Madison. Just my opinion. Dynasty, go buy Jamal Williams. If you're the Swift owner, go do it. It just makes too much sense. You can probably get him for, I wouldn't say a third. You probably have to give up a second, but you can probably get Williams in a third or Williams in a player. Some kind of other, bench. Cole Beasley, Williams for a mid-second might happen. I'm not saying it will, but it's a good offer. Let's talk football. We're going to get to dynasty trades here in a minute. I've got the dynasty charts, courtesy of Fantasy Pros. I'm going to bring out here. We're going to check out, dive into. If you smell what the Rock is cooking, you're smelling what Matty Daddy's cooking. Let's go to the quarterback position. I'm going to give you a start for this week and a trade target. Derek Carr versus Washington. Washington gives up the most points to quarterbacks. Nobody wants Derek Carr, and this guy plays like a magic man at home. 21 points a game. Fantasy-wise, people see him. They're like, oh, he's a QB 15, 16. This guy's a stud. He gets the targets. Yeah, he's not going to break out every game. He is a QB2. But if you're looking at Baker Mayfield, you're looking at these other quarterbacks that are a little bit inconsistent. Maybe Carr's a buy in redraft and in dynasty. I think the upside is only going to get better, especially next season. Maybe a Devonta Adams in the mode. That Fresno State connection, just think about it. I think Oakland or Las Vegas is going to go out and get another receiver. Rest of the season, I'm loving the pass volume the Raiders put out. Love their schedule. I'd be buying quarterback Derek Carr for the cheap, for the low. QB2 for show, but he has those QB1 weeks, and he can bring that QB1 sizzle that you need on your fantasy team. Running backs. This was tough because I kind of want to have a conversation about Myles Gaskin here because he's only 24. Dolphins are starting to turn a corner. This guy reminds me of the Tyler Lockett of running backs. 1 week you hate this guy, the other week he's a league winner. So he's getting the touches, 15 touches a game, last 6 games, 15 points in 3 of the last 4. That's high-end RB2, maybe RB1 numbers. Gaskin, man, another guy. We talked Mitchell last week. He has a big game. You could get Fournette. I feel like all these guys are a little bit more expensive. We'll check out the trade chart here shortly, and we'll kind of compare which guys you'd rather have over a Carr, a Madison, people like that. But Madison might be a good play this week against the Giants, and maybe in Dynasty, he's pretty cheap. Another guy you might want to check out for your team. Receiver-wise, this one's tricky. Who are you buying? Who are you selling? Who are you starting? What about Brandon Naiux, man? I could talk Hunter Henry here, but Brandon Naiux brought the fire. This is another guy. He puts up points. We see Debo's out with the injury now. So, 2 games over 18 points, the last couple, over 12 points per game in 3 of the last 4. He's playing the Seahawks. Seahawks give up the 4th most points to receivers. Maybe Ayuk's a start here. Another guy, maybe to keep on your mind here, brings that sizzle that you want. I might be targeting Ayuk as well. Dynasty, I'm not giving up a first. I can probably get him for a second. I think he's kind of in that Kadarius Toney route, where people love him or they hate him. So Ayuk, volume might not be there all year, but with Debo out, it's a perfect time. Kittle's brittle. That right. And Lance, I think, he's got that deep ball. So Ayuk might be another guy you target. I can beat the board all day on Logan Thomas, the tight end. He gets the Raiders. They're going to have no choice but to pass. He's probably got the best tight end schedule remaining. He's only 30. You can get him in redraft. Go get him now. I think this could be a league winner as well. And Dynasty, only 30 years old, guys. This is another guy. Go get him, Logan Thomas. Probably cheap. You can probably get him for a wide receiver 3, something like that. But we're checking out, guys. I'm going to put up some different things, give you guys a little look at our overlays I made. I wanted to talk trades. I wanted to talk value because we are getting that time in redraft. Told you some guys to buy. Carr at quarterback. Go check in on Gaskin at running back. Receiver, go check out Brandon Naiux, tight end Logan Thomas. Like I said, I repeat, all 4 of these guys have dynasty value, have redraft value, and they're all pretty cheap and could be league winners. You got a Gaskin who plays like Lockett. Carr, Tannehill, kind of that same range. I think I'm going Carr, though. I think he's going to put together a pretty nice stream of games at the end, even without having Waller. Wide receiver, Ayuk, another guy. It's been on fire the last couple games. Over 12 points. You get no Deebo Samuel. This is a nice spot, especially coming off that 18-point game. This is and then tight end. This is the one I preach about. Logan Thomas, guys. 30 years old in Dynasty. Really not that old for a tight end. But you look at what he got last year. He got those targets. Didn't do a lot with them, but he gets the Raiders this week. Redraft, rest of the season, best schedule out there. Gets the Cowboys twice. I believe he gets Philly. Just some other, and he gets the Raiders. You can pass to the tight end on all these. And you see how bad Washington is in the red zone. I think they're second worst in the NFL. So they need somebody to throw to. As The Rock would say, just bring it. Give me some Logan Thomas and Dynasty as well. Okay, next part of the stream, guys, I wanted to go ahead and bring up some overlays. Of course, we had the brand new Fantasy Pros Dynasty Trade Chart. So it's kind of cool to see how these values change with the injuries, with different themes. So let's bring up the running backs because we do have a ton of RB injuries. So how is this going to affect it? Let's see what we got first. Gives me a second. I'm trying to get used to Melon. I did StreamYard for so long. Daddy. It's quarterbacks. Let's talk running backs, though. Let's look at these RBs we got here. This is the most recent Dynasty trade chart. Like I said, I'm talking a little bit of Dynasty. I just kind of gave you some good RB starts, receiver starts, tight end starts. Go back and listen, as well as like a trade value rest of the season. Kind of redraft targets, but obviously we've got Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, your top 2 Dynasty RBs. I think that's perfect. Kamara's 3, Swift 4, Mixon's 5, CMC is 6, Barkley 7, Cook 8, and Gibson. Weird. How I see this, I love Taylor. I love Harris. I think you got to move Swift above Kamara at this point, just with him only being 22. With Kamara, with the uncertainty of Taysom Hill, which by the way, they play Dallas Thursday night in NOLA. As much as I like Taysom Hill, I'm kind of worried about that foot injury. Not sure I'm starting any Saints against Dallas. Of course, Kamara's not playing. I do think Kamara might be a sell in Dynasty. As you obviously can't get these young running backs, but if you could package Kamara, maybe get a guy like David Montgomery, not going to be great the rest of the season, but consistent workload. It should only get better in Chicago. If you're out of contention, now's the time to sell him. Go get you guys, package a couple first and Dobbins, maybe a throw-in receiver or a second or something like that. But I think I just saw a trade for CMC. Somebody traded Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle and a second for CMC. Really weird because CMC's on IR, but he's still up there, only 25, in such a great situation. Everybody else is kind of sweeping the rug under from CMC. I'm definitely holding CMC. I think his value is only going to go up. Barkley, I've had mixed feelings, but I think he's a hold. Jason Garrett leaving. Freddie Kitchens, I don't know. Hopefully he's a better offensive coordinator than he is a head coach. Antonio Gibson, that's the tricky one. We're all expecting these CMC numbers from Gibson, and yet he stays hurt, things like that. Probably not buying him. Chubb, you got to love Cleveland, man. You got to love that offensive line, probably best in the NFL. I think Chubb might be a buy after a couple slow starts. Go get him. Eckler, this is another guy I love. Eckler's been a baller, and he's only going to keep doing it. We see him be RB2, 3 on the year. And you got to think all that time he spent with Melvin Gordon, all that wear and tear he avoided because of that. I think this guy's shown enough promise. He's more than a one-trick pony. Henry, same kind of hold. Zeke, my Cowboys. Where have all Cowboys gone? It's not what you're here for. But yeah, man, that's another one. I don't know how to feel about Zeke. This might be a bad time to sell. Still an RB1 on the year. Maybe a guy you can move in redraft or dynasty. Not saying I'm against it. I still think he has another year of RB1 production, maybe 2. Javonte Williams, dynasty. This might be a top 5 RB by the end of the season, especially in dynasty. Redraft, I still think it's going to be him and Melvin Gordon. Aaron Jones, don't think his workload changes. A.J. Dillon is still going to be there, split timeshare, but Jones gets plenty of work. Dynasty, I'm worried about Rodgers a little bit, but I love Jones. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I hate. Dobbins, I love. Can't wait. What could have been? Monty, Kareem Hunt, Henderson, blah, blah, blah. Let's get down to the bottom, though. You see where my browser's here. We got Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones can't be a buy in dynasty, right? I mean, Fournette's on a 1-year deal, but Rojo, it seems like he's worn out his welcome in Tampa Bay. Trey Sermon here, another guy. Got Madison, Gainwell, Chubba. It's hard to tell. Not a bunch of running backs you want to buy. Elijah Mitchell, I'm definitely buying. James Conner, I might buy for another couple of years. Myles Gaskin, like I said, you see where he's ranked? Melvin Gordon, Myles Gaskin. Go get Myles Gaskin. Ramondre Stevenson, Gaskin. I still might go Gaskin there. Cordell Patterson, yeah. Chubba, they're below him, but Damian Harris even. I'm not sure I'm liking that. Let's go quarterbacks, though. Let's talk a little of the quarterback nitty-gritty. Quarterbacks here, dynasty value, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. That's not going to change. Herbert, Dak, all these quarterbacks in the top 10 seem all right. Fields, Lance, everybody always asks me, Matty Daddy, who are you? Is Fields your flavor? Lance, I'm a Fields guy. I thought with his speed, I thought he was going to be a little bit more polished. I'm not saying he isn't. But another guy might be targeting. Jalen Hurts, get him out of here, dude. This is just, we've seen enough. I'm checking out these overlays real quick. Melon, nice. Whoa! Yeah, but quarterbacks, who are we buying on this list? Taysom's only 9. So you tell me you'd rather have Davis Mills? No. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's probably going to be a backup next year. Cam, we saw Cam kind of shit the bed. Kind of felt bad about that one. I'd still be buying him. Winston, he's another guy. Really, really like. Especially next year. Hopefully I'm not boring you redraft guys. Y'all are up late with me. I'm talking dynasty. I'm talking redraft. Darnold, I don't see anything. If you're telling me Darnold's more expensive than Jameis Winston, I'm laughing at you. Doesn't have the upside. Has probably more risk, if not worse games. Baker Mayfield, come on, move him down. We've seen something's going on there. Goff, same thing. Matt Ryan, I'd move up a little bit ahead. I wouldn't say ahead of Goff, but it's tough to see with these quarterbacks. You're supposed to have 4 or 5 quarterbacks could come out. Mac Jones up here, above Tanny, above Wentz. Wilson, Zach Wilson, but Derek Carr right there with Cousins. They kind of just hover in that QB2 range, and they're not terrible, guys. Guys to look out for. Receivers, another fun one. Here we go. Bunch of stud receivers. You see the youth. Look how far Deandre Hopkins has moved down. He is now like wide receiver 16 in Dynasty. Even Debo's moved above him. Deontay, this is just weird. It doesn't feel right. DJ Moore, receiver's such a deep position, guys. In redraft, Dynasty, I'm not one to trade for them because there's so many. You could literally go through 50 receivers. You can play Josh Reynolds some weeks, and he's a good start. You could start, Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow's wide receiver 24. Corey Davis when he's with Zach Wilson. I don't ever really feel comfortable paying up for receiver like I do a running back, a top 3 tight end, a quarterback. I want that sizzle on my steak. I want it to be cooked. So I go for these receivers. I just kind of look at where Lockett and Woods are in Dynasty. Like, these guys are, they're going to bounce back. Mike Williams is so low. It's crazy to see these guys. Cooks has done nothing but produce, and he's only not 28. That just kind of tells you how deep this position is. More to look at. Let's look at tight ends because it's gross. This is one where you're just always guessing and you're banging your head against the wall. Who do I start? Who do I sit? Guys, tight ends is just fickle. You're not going to know. But look where Pat Freiermuth is. This is a guy in Dynasty you might want to keep your ear out. I don't see many owners selling him. But I think maybe now's the time to pay up. You're going to get a different quarterback. I have nothing but wishful thinking for all of the Steelers' offensive weapons. If we could get a different, coordinator maybe in there and a different quarterback. But Kittle up here, tight end 3 expected. I still think Pitts is going to have a lot more dynasty value than Kelsey, but I get it. He's kind of struggled, but he's had some really big boom games. But you just look at tight ends and how bad it is. Just makes you want to throw up. Gasecki, he's another one. He's, I believe, a free agent after the year. But rest of the season, I'd be targeting. We see Tua's been doing very good. The completion percentage is there. If he can just stay healthy, I think he's 70% completion percentage. Giants suck. This might be a good matchup for him. Gallaudet, Devonta Smith, those are guys you have more questions with because of what do we have in Hurts. He hasn't been good. He's been good for fantasy, but not in real life. So how much more do we have with Hurts? Logan Thomas, like I said, he's the guy you get out of this group, in my opinion. 30 years old. Rest of the season schedule against Dallas like he does. He just has too many good matchups. Vegas this week. Cole Kmet, like him, like his talent, don't like Chicago at all. I think they get Arizona this week. That's tough. Is not what you want. You don't want to have to trust a New England tight end. Seems like it's the exact same thing as the running backs. They just suck the life of you because you're starting Hunter Henry. Oh, it's a Janu Smith week. Terrible. Dawson Knox, though, you see how far down he is. I thought this was kind of surprising because all he's done is performed. I'm a Knox truther now. He's shown me enough as a deep play. I knew from Ole Miss what he's doing. Buffalo's a top 3 offense. You bring him up over Janu, over Irv, over Cole, over Higbee. I'd have Schultz higher too. Hunter Henry and Logan Thomas. I love fantasy pros because they are their name. This is my opinion, but I would definitely have Logan Thomas higher. I'd have Irv Smith higher. Dawson Knox is almost disrespectful putting him by Evan Ingram, Zach Ertz. Robert Tonyan, he's out for the year, yet he makes the list. That's kind of laughable too. Gerald Everett, one of those guys I thought I had something in him, but you've seen Seattle not be able to cook. I think that team's got a lot of issues. Their offensive line, they just signed AP. I mean, you can't feel good about the running backs. The receivers, yeah, they're good, but Russ doesn't look the same. They get San Francisco this week. Last time Russ played San Francisco, I think he put like 25 up against them. But still another week. Let's see. What did we have Russell Wilson up here in Dynasty rankings? Looks like he's still right there. Trevor Lawrence below Lance and Fields. That's surprising. I think that's more the Urban Meyer stink than anything. Herbert's got these games. I'm kind of thinking this week against the Bengals could be some issues. We were just talking, me and Roto Heat Craig from Roto Heat and Getting Defensive. Good guess, by the way, if you haven't heard of him. does a lot of IDP, but I was saying how Burrow versus the Chargers feels like a trap game, especially the way Burrow's played the last 3. And he was telling me Herbert's kind of that same story. He plays really good and then has some shit games. But Burrow, I'd be sitting him in redraft this week, guys. Dynasty, obviously, he's a buy, but he has not looked good. 17 or less points in the last 3 games. Chargers are real bad against the run. I think you're going to get a lot of Joe Mixon this week. So I'd temper your expectations on Burrow. Running backs, because we're looking at these trade charts. We're looking at starts. We're looking at sits. Who do you got for us, Matty Daddy? Let me get back to it. I'm not used to using a computer. I'm like an old man sometimes. All right, running backs. My running back sit this week was David Montgomery. You see Arizona, they're good. We get to this point of the year where we're like, oh, you start your studs. We have 12 weeks of data that's approached us that we know who studs are, just not stud alone by name. David Montgomery, as shiny as he looks here on your trade chart, right there by Dobbins, right above Hunt, I think in redraft, you're not starting David Montgomery. You're trading him. The full Monty is not in effect in Chicago. Mooney looks good, but the rest of Chicago is a shit show. Get David Montgomery off your team, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is Arizona this week. I just don't trust him. I don't trust what Nagy's doing. Yeah, he's getting back up to full work, but I just don't like it. Wide receivers, let's go over that again one more time. We see all these stud names. I think the biggest sit for this week, I think if the writing's on the wall, is with Mike Williams. What he's done, what was it, like 120 points those first 4 games, which was redonkulous. We see week 11, he has 5 for 97, that big touchdown. Everybody's celebrating. Oh, man, he's back. Less than 8 and 5 of 6. We finally have something with Mike Williams. And what does he do? You look at the stat line. It looks sexy, but then you see it's only a 55-yard touchdown. So those touchdowns you were used to getting the targets those first couple weeks. Those have disappeared, ladies and gentlemen. So what do we do with Mike Williams? He's a liability to start going forward. I just don't think that Chargers offense is clicking like it should. Dynasty, he might be a buy because we're looking at him. And he's down here by Gallup. He's down here by Thielen, Tony, Cooks. Maybe Mike Williams is a buy. Free agent next year. Maybe he'll get a better contract, a better spot. I think the real question is, because you see his value by Tony. Is Tony, are we not buying enough of Kadarius Toney? How are we, valuing Tony rest of the season? We were just talking earlier about the Giants in Miami. I think Kenny Gallaudet is a hell of a play this week as too. Me and Craig were talking about it. This is a guy, we've seen Miami give away points to those outside receivers. We've seen Gallaudet get at least 8 targets. So if you're giving him 8 targets, that's 5 for 40, things like that. I think they're going to have to keep up with Miami. This could be a snooze fest, but I really think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I love Kenny Gallaudet this week. Tony's not playing, I don't believe. So Dynasty, it's real weird because Galladay's only 28, I believe, and he's got that big money deal. He is that red zone target. So what to do with Tony in Dynasty? I'd shop him. Do I want a late first? Maybe not. Do I want a Mike Williams in an early second, mid-second? Probably. Is that too hard? Because you were getting Tony. I mean, it's end of the day, is he a top 12 receiver? No. Is Mike Williams a top 12 receiver? Probably not. Are they both wide receiver 2s with wide receiver 1 weeks? That's what we're hoping for, right? Especially with Tony. Is he a game changer? Yeah. But does that translate to fantasy every week? No. Something to consider. Tight ends, we'll go back by it one more time. For anybody just tuning in, fast forward those first 7 minutes. I guess I had my mic, some technical difficulties. Tight ends, guys, I went through it. Some of these guys got good matchups. Your Ertz, your guys like that, you're going to want to start because they do put up tight end 1 protection. We've seen kind of Kelsey fall off and on. Mark Andrews has been on fire. Tight end 2 on the year. We've just seen injuries kind of take over at the tight end position. So something to be aware of. Guys, I know this is a late night show. What are we doing, Matty Daddy? For anybody just tuning in, always handing answering start sits, trade questions. Why do we have The Rock on here, guys? Because I'm here to help you with your lineups, lay the smack down. I'm here. It's late night, Wednesday night, about to be Thursday day. Thursday night football. We got the New Orleans Saints versus the Dallas Cowboys. It's in NOLA. Thoughts on the game, thoughts on fantasy. I think it's a 47-point over-under. I don't know if we can get that. I'm just kind of worried about Taysom. I don't like that it's in New Orleans for the Cowboys, but you look at Michael Parsons. You look at Diggs on defense. Guys like that. We're supposed to have DeMarcus Lawrence back. Cowboys are going to score points. That's what they do. No diggity, no doubt. But are we paying up for any Saints players? Taysom Hill with the foot injury. Can he be a QB2? Yeah. Is it likely? Maybe not. I don't think so. Running back, if we're not getting Carr, we're getting Jones. Do we want to start Jones? The only place you can really exploit Dallas's defense is the run game, but I don't think Tony Jones is the guy to do it. Receiver-wise, we've seen Gallaudet score some touchdowns, but this isn't with Trevor Siemian now. This is with Taysom Hill. So there is warning signs right off the bat. Traquan Smith, Troutman's gone, so we're getting Jawan Johnson. Just a lot of moving pieces. I'm sure it's almost a little harder. I wouldn't say hard, but easier for Dallas to scheme, but also hard because you don't know what they're going to throw at you. Are we going to see a bunch of trick plays in New Orleans? Peyton going to have all sorts of craziness? Maybe. But Dak was still a top 5 quarterback last week, even with the loss. 2 games in a row. I think Dak's locked and loaded. I think this team's locked and loaded. I think you're going to want to start as many Cowboys as you can and fade as many Saints as you can. Do I think the Cowboys defense is the streamer this week? Hell yes. Guys, roster on the ropes. It's the Maddie Daddy. As always, kicking ass and taking names. The Fantasy Football Network. If you need anything, don't hesitate. We're always on point and in the zone. Till next time. It's the Maddie Daddy. Down, 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 down. Trying to end it here, guys.